Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Suzanne Worthley, and if you're not familiar with me, I'm an energy practitioner that does a forecast each month for my online community called Vibe Tribe. And I share little bits of pieces of this with the general public, and that's what you're seeing here today. So, my Vibe Tribe has a whole package that they receive each month. You can check it out on my website if you are curious about it. But the way that I get my information for them each month for this so-called energy report is I pull a tarot card randomly. And usually that tarot card is pretty spot on for what's happening. And then I combine it with the bigger energies. And then that information for my online membership goes into things like a full-blown energy report. But we also do things like a pertinent meditation, training videos, live webcast, online forums, etc. So this is a really cool way to stay in contact with like-minded folks. And again, if you are looking into a place or a space to feel comfortable and share your ideas, Vibe Tribe might be something to check out. And you can find that at my website at sworthley.com. So SWORTHLEY.com. But this month, I wanted to go into the information a little bit for the general public and share. I pulled the Hermit card. And so the Hermit card has some very traditional meanings. And I'd like to just sort of point those out for you now in case you don't necessarily use tarot a lot. So it is about spiritual influence, occult knowledge, fulfillment of purpose, developing your talents, your abilities. But it's also a little bit about being lonely, loneliness, seclusion, hiding in that inside of self, guarding independence. And a big piece of this is turning away from worldliness. So this is an interesting card for us right now because March, for many of us, depending on where you are in the country, is, that first step into spring. We have our light changing. We have our buds trying really hard to come out. So there is a lot of feeling of excitement and moving forward. So it seems to be almost diametrically opposed to what the Hermit has to say. But I think this is the great message. It's a combination of both. The Hermit itself invites us to retreat. And this might actually manifest for some people as a sacred journey, an actual retreat, going somewhere. For us right now, for many people that are still kind of under some semblance of lockdown or seclusion, this might just still be that feeling of quarantined, be that feeling of being stuck in the house. But this is a great thing that we can even go deeper into our own body and learn from. So we're asked this month to carve out some personal time and get quiet with oneself. And this offers us the space to contemplate our beliefs and our principles and our values and the things that are important to us and what motivates us. So this is critical right now because we are still as a country and as a species, well, as a globe, really, we're in an oversaturation of media right now, still having to do a lot with the pandemic, a lot having to do with the vaccine. A lot of this, however, is still fear-based messaging. Our, administrations are still changing, new policies are coming forward. But we are very, very much overpowered by information outside of ourselves. And I think what is really critical, and I work with my community on, is digging deep into your own truths is critically important right now. More than ever, because this offers us an opportunity to still examine what may or may not serve me as an individual. What is my so-called inner truth? And remember, many, many of us are still really running inner dialogues and programming from not only our childhood and our society, but more so even now from our media and our social media. Everybody is telling us how we're supposed to be feeling. Everybody is telling us that there's a savior program, that this is going to fix it and that's going to fix it. So this is really tough. And as a full-time practitioner, I'm finding a huge amount of my clients are right now examining their core beliefs in many ways. And this is a little bit of a fallout from the actual past year of 2020 and, this onslaught of the pandemic, et cetera. And this can really start to change how a person starts to look at those core beliefs of safe and money. And so a lot of us are examining, what does money mean right now? What does my job mean right now? What does my worth mean right now? What does my social status mean right now, etc. It's also breaking down for many of my clients the dogmatic boxes or the religion boxes. And many are letting go of packages that no longer feel authentic. This can be confusing for a lot of people because they don't maybe quite know where this urge is coming from. And I believe that these breakdowns are all part of our ascension process, and this is all part of what's happening in a bigger scope in our energies. And so any breakdown of old, outdated belief systems is not fun, but it's oftentimes critical for us in terms of moving forward in our lives and authenticity. So through the inner attention, though, of the Hermit card, this is what is very important, that we make the space, that we actually command of ourselves the space to create those conditions to formulate the right decisions and ultimately the right actions to follow through for our own personal truths. And this can oftentimes clash or make others uncomfortable. And a lot of my clients are finding this, the more they ascend, the more tough it gets. And that can give you kind of like a double messaging of, geez, what the heck is going on and should I be doing this? But in my opinion, this means you're actually making some progress. So this is also about, examining your isolation. The Hermit card is a great message for going inward, but it also warns a little bit about isolation. And again, many of my clients, not many, but some of my clients are really struggling with this isolation, this still social distancing, working at home, not being around people, not having my so-called normal life. And this is very much part of the Hermit card, to be able to say, where is that balance? Where is that fine line of isolation? Am I pulling back too much? Am I not allowing other things and other beings to assist me in terms of my support systems? And so this is very common right now with the COVID and the social distancing situation still. And we have many people that are becoming very complacent also about looking for work because, gosh, sometimes it's just easier to sit back and take that unemployment check. But what happens in the long run here is that we find a sense of boredom within ourselves. And many people are finding this complacency turns into actual depression in the long run, because we do need to interact with others, other things, other people, nature, etc. This is part of our humanness. This is part of the reason we're a sentient being, is to be able to find compassion and empathy and support and kindness for one another. Not do it for somebody else, just be there in terms of having an actual connection. And so this is the flip side of the Hermit, is to be able to, when we look at a reverse of a card, it's what's the warning of the card. Maybe you're too much isolated. Maybe it is too much that I've taken a back seat and I'm not letting others to come into my playing field in whatever form. So the energy of March is really a kind of an interesting thing for me, because with the Hermit messaging and the feeling of spring and moving forward, this is where we can look at finding a great balance. Our light will be changing. Daylight saving times is going to offer us more. We're moving towards, solstice. It's very much about the days are changing. They're getting longer. We can be outside more. This is all really exciting. So this is the energy of going outward. And at the very same time, the balance is stay inward for your actual truths. And so this is very important for us to do both. While we are isolated and going inward, we are also going outward and letting others offer us a helping hand of sorts. And so this assistance can be really something simple, even with our situation right now that we're still dealing with. Maybe it's just a chat. Maybe it's a FaceTime call. Maybe it's a house party call. Maybe gather with your friends for, your virtual cocktail party or whatever. But I think it's important for us to break out of some of these Hermit modes that have gone too far, that have swung the pendulum too far. So this is a great card to examine the balance between getting out there, enjoying it, blooming, getting into the spring energy. It's all exciting. And wait, at the very same time, I'm going to stay inward and I'm going to find the calm and I'm going to find the peace so that I can examine my truths. it is very important for us, in my opinion, to examine our own truths, our own spiritual guidance, to develop our own talents, our own abilities, find the wisdom. That's what the Hermit card is really all about, is ultimate wisdom. And yet it has self-discipline because we are working from within ourselves and not relying on others to tell us our truths. So this is really something that we can find great value in when we find the balance between outward helping hands and inward isolation. So great quote I came across this month while doing this work for Vibe Tribe is, when attachment to outer things causes us to lose our inner worth, it is time for a change. And I'm going to just say it again. When attachment to outer things causes us to lose our inner worth, it is time for a change. Part of the Hermit artwork on the rider card, at the rider deck, and actually any deck will have some semblance of this, has the Hermit, the gentleman himself, holding some semblance of a light or a lantern. And this is a very important detail to the artwork because this is messaging of tuning into your inner guidance, your inner light, your inner wisdom. And I love to examine the artwork for my membership as well, in terms of this indicates the need this month and almost any month. But I think right now it's very, very important for us to connect to our inner guidance because we can see literally or not what stands ahead of us. This is coming out of our own wisdom. It's born of our own inner light. But the energy this month is very, very important to do this work because there's something about all of the new frequencies that are coming in that is almost kind of like shaking things up underneath. And there's a different pace to how manifestation is happening. It can either be, again, the dichotomy is it can either be instantaneous. So be very careful about what you're thinking about and actually giving energy to, because we can create manifestation in an instant right now. But on the other side of the card, or the other side of the scale, there is a need for patience right now. And this is part of the Hermit card. The Hermit finds himself or herself between taking action and not taking action. This is an important message for us because we are humans that have grown up in a world of instant gratification. And when the Hermit takes pause or finds him or herself in the middle of doing nothing, because it isn't quite formulated yet. This is not a comfortable thing for most humans. And I think this is something March offers us because we are, again, coming out of the winter, literally coming out of the darkness and moving into the light. And we're on this kind of like edge. We're on this precipice. We're on this like weight pattern. And when I'm doing work with clients, a lot of times I get this feeling of their higher purpose or their soul purpose is almost like the airplane that's going around the airport. I don't quite have my gate open yet. So we're just going to circle, when you're like the person that's flying and you're like, seriously, we got to circle like, for 10 minutes. That's what it feels like for us to understand this actual feel center and gift of patience. Patience does not feel like something we like or want. And so this pause has been happening. It was also last month. We referred to it a little bit in the Vibe Tribe information in February as well. And it's still moving into March, this pause, this patience. But the Hermit itself is a really good lesson for us because the Hermit literally stands in the middle of taking action and not taking action to go inward, to maybe examine even deeper. What are the core values behind here? What is the core feelings? What is the authentic truth? So when we rise to the frequency of, say, the Hermit, by going inward to find our inner light, we are going to spontaneously brighten the way for others. This is so important for us because a lot of us think we're supposed to be on this planet to help others. And as a practitioner, I always assist my clients and invite them to think about enlightening yourself, working on yourself, filling yourself, doing for yourself first. Because what happens then is we take that lantern that we see the Hermit carrying, or that inner light that we're talking about. When this ignites in a greater quotient, that in and of itself is helping others with no conditions attached. That in and of itself is rising up in my not only meat and bone body, but my auric fields, to enlighten others with nothing attached to it, with no personality, no judgment, no need for validation. This is a huge piece of the card of the Hermit, is to understand this shifts me from the old false narrative of I have to do in order to be valid and wonderful and fabulous. This gets me to a place of I can just be. I can just be filled with light. And this light in and of itself is the gift to others. So it shifts me from being a human doing machine into a human being. And the Hermit card offers us and invites us to trust the energy of this presence. It's the gift, the present. It's trusting this in between. It's trusting this, I'm going to go inward and find this pause. So the present, or the gift of enlightenment that we are going to offer everyone by putting ourselves into a position of, this is unintentionality. So what that means is I'm not even going to intent anything on behalf of anyone. I'm just going to intent on behalf of myself. And just in and of that way, we will offer that with no cords attached to anybody else that's in our presence. So this is how and when we take care of ourselves, and then allows them to take care of themselves if and how they choose. And this is what we would call the invisible hands of Source itself. This is the way that we were designed to be instead of do. So it is very important for us to know that this coming out of the darkness, coming into the spring, this is the change of the energy. It's the balance. It's the relationship. Another thing that I'm seeing quite extensively in my practitioner work is many people that are coming forward hold what I would call a 2D frequency, meaning a lot of us have a soul frequency that we resonate to. And it can be, from the stars, more, off planet, more cosmic, more alien. It can be all about humanity, but it can also be about the plant and animal kingdom, which means the elemental kingdom, which means, the fairies, the gnomes, the little dwarfs, the ferns, the trees. And I am finding many, many, many of my clients and many new clients coming forward that hold this elemental frequency. And this is very interesting to me because they are awakening at a rapid pace into their own inner light. They are finding their own inner light in this source fuel. So this means, again, March is a great time to look outward as well as inward. So this is a little confusing. We're going to go outside. We're going to really connect with nature. These elementals are everywhere. They're in the flowers that are budding, the ferns that are coming forward, the trees that are popping. It's everywhere in nature. It's coming to life. It's coming to life. But at the very same time, I'm going inward as my individualized person to find, this feels good. This feels like joy. This feels like connection. This feels like a true relationship with Mother Nature or Gaia or the actual elemental kingdom, plant and animals itself. So this is, again, an outward, inward, outward, inward. This is what the Hermit does. And so it's something to play with this month, in my opinion, because a lot of these 2D energies, these frequencies are opening up on our planet. And whether you resonate to that elemental kingdom or not, you also will be able to take advantage of that inner light, that lantern that is being explored. It is being enlightened. It is growing. It happens every spring anyway, because Mother Nature is doing it. So this is an extra boost of fuel energy, if you want to look at it that way, because it is happening all around us. So again, go inward to go outward to go inward. It's a relationship of the two frequencies this month. So kind of a cool thing to do. Spring can be very exciting. This actually keeps you on task too with what is your truth, and it keeps you out of the media. So just something to play with if you choose. Once again, I invite you, if you would like to learn more about Vibe Tribe, this is a way to stay connected with like-minded folks. And, this is something, the relationship and offering a helping hand and letting others assist you is part of what an online community can be about. So if you choose to look further into Vibe Tribe, we'd love to have you on board. We have a live webcast that really examines this information in depth for 90 minutes every month. And that in and of itself, in my opinion, is worth the membership fee. So check it out on my site if you would like at www.sworthley. And until next month, cosmic hugs. Thanks.